It's no secret. Your sports team sucks. Their incompetence defies statistics and tortures your sanity, yet somehow leaves you thinking, maybe next year. Today, I can confirm your suspicions. That level of incompetence? It's not natural. Your team is cursed, and it's not by accident. You are the guinea pig in a secret psychological experiment. On the off chance you're here and your sports team doesn't suck, welcome. And respectfully, screw you. In the beginning, sports leagues had difficulty making money. Teams weren't the commercial juggernauts they are now, and had more in common with modern-day beer leagues than international brands. Would you pay good money to watch Bob from accounting play against Joe from down the street? Didn't think so. Without a clear path to profit, sports leagues seemed destined to fail. They needed outside funding. Owners across every sports league got together and came to a conclusion. Who can afford to throw away more money than the government? The government was happy to oblige, but even they don't throw away money for nothing, most of the time, and wanted something in return. Normally, investors were offered a share of future profits, but the rules of capitalism, to privatize profits and socialize losses, forbid this arrangement with the public sector. After much deliberating, one of the owners got an idea. Recently, his wife had been acting hysterical and asking to do ridiculous things, like get a job, vote, own property, and open a bank account, so he got her a shrink. Psychology was fairly new at the time, but showed promise, and the government wanted in. Could their sports leagues accommodate government experiments? The other owners agreed it was an interesting idea, with one major problem. Women didn't play sports, and psychology didn't apply to men, who were obviously completely sane and rational beings. On the surface, it seemed insurmountable. But, being business gurus, they knew every problem could be solved with the right marketing. If teams had cute identities, like animals, say a bird, or clothing, say a colored sock, no woman would be able to resist emotional attachment. Tickets would sell like hotcakes, and the government would have their test subjects. They pitched the idea, and the government took to it instantly. All there was left was to determine the experiment. Most psychological research focused on the thoughts and actions of individuals. The large crowded stadiums were a unique opportunity to study the psychological holy grail: catfights. Researchers coordinated with the sports leagues to maximize cat fight outbreaks. They promoted rivalries between fan bases. They designed uncomfortable seats and packed them too tightly together. They sold copious amounts of alcohol and encouraged pre-game drinking in the parking lot. They even tossed free shirts into the stands for the audience to fight over. Yet, despite all their efforts, the only catfight was between two actual cats. Was it possible they misunderstood women? As they contemplated this conundrum, psychologists, disguised as photographers and sports journalists, made a startling discovery. Despite aggressively marketing to women, the audience was, annoyingly, mostly men. Even when they gave away cute replica jerseys and bobblehead dolls, they couldn't shake the male majority. They expected some men, like chaperones, friends of the athletes, and the occasional confused tourist. But a majority? Why watch a sport when you can play it? More shocking yet was the erratic behavior among male attendees. Raised voices, fisticuffs, an inexplicable sadness when their team lost. Everyone agreed men were immune to emotions. Could they have been wrong about men and women? Trusted psychological experts from all over the world gathered to discuss the findings. The foundations of their entire profession were at stake, and tensions were high. Were they really no better than snake oil salesmen, like economists? It wasn't until a junior psychologist pointed out a male fan's devotion was independent of their team being good or bad that everyone blew a sigh of relief. It wasn't emotions male fans were exhibiting, but loyalty, akin to soldiers on the battlefield or patriots to their country. A most manly quality. They patted themselves on the back, and all was good in psychology land. This conclusion caught the attention of government intelligence agencies. Enemies of the state, from spies to terrorists, had this annoying habit of refusing to cooperate. Even the old faithful, pretty please, was powerless. Loyalty to a sports team was proven the same as loyalty to a country or ideology. If they could get inside the heads of sports fans, they would be one step closer to world peace. Or better yet, world domination. National security trumps all, even catfights. So psychologists were ordered to pivot their research. To truly test loyalty breaking points, they couldn't let a silly thing like fairness get in the way. They needed predictable outcomes, losers they could count on. This is where you come in. Each sports league selected a team or teams to be cursed, and no matter how hard researchers cranked the pain dial, dedicated fans lined up to be abused. Masochism was mainstream. Sure, some fans inevitably gave up, but by and large, the majority stuck by their terrible teams. This insight into undying loyalty gave researchers priceless information. The foundations of modern enhanced interrogation techniques, aka torture, are built upon the suffering of you and other fans. Your irrational loyalty and refusal to give in helped train friendly agents to resist and cracked even the most stubborn enemies. Think about it. Why else would governments give billionaires hundreds of millions of dollars to build new stadiums? How do you think boring sports like baseball continue to exist? How is it possible your team would improve if it was merely incompetent? Sports leagues are fixed, but it's for a good cause. You can sleep well, knowing your torture has helped keep you and your country safe. The government can't publicly recognize your contributions, however, because they must protect the profit of the owners and the sanctity of the experiment. But mostly the profit. Thankfully, sports betting is completely unaffected and untarnished, as explained to me by two very large gentlemen. They refused to elaborate, but were very convincing. Know that your broken heart, clinical depression, and alcohol addiction makes researchers smile and foils a terrorist plot. You're like James Bond if he was less good-looking, out of shape, and had nothing to do on a Saturday night. Besides, if you still cheer for your sports team after this many years of heartbreak and disappointment, it's your own damn fault.